Okay folks, so I've started to position my vertices roughly to where they need to be using my reference image. What I'm going to do now is just resize this in the other view mode. When you're modeling weapons, what we tend to do is model half of this weapon. So if you were to imagine we were looking down on top of this gun, we would cut it in half along the length of the gun, and then we would mirror over the back of it. So we're just kind of focusing on this side bit. So at the minute, obviously, our gun is really wide, so we need to go in object mode, and we just need to pull this in a bit. So imagine we're just kind of looking down on top of our weapon, and we're only looking at half of our weapon at the minute. So I want to kind of cut it in half, looking down. Okay, so it's looking a little bit more right width-wise. Up here you can see we've got an extra bit that's kind of coming out. I'm going to use another tool, another feature of Maya to do this. And what I'm going to do is extrude the face. So the extrude tool, what it actually does, it allows us to pull out geometry and create new detail. So to get to this, I'm going to go face mode. I'm going to select my face mode. And on the modeling toolkit, if you come down to extrude, and you can pull this out now. You can see what it does, it creates new geometry for us. Instead of us just pulling out the face and pulling all the other edges with it, this is creating a new geometry for us. We can add in divisions if we wanted to, so we can add in extra detail if we want. And whilst we've got it selected, we can make adjustments to the width if we wanted to, and make adjustments that way. So just to repeat that, extrude tool, and then pull it out to where you want. You can see that we've got a multi-tool here, so we can be making adjustments to the move and scale at the same time. You can use this multiple times, so if we were to use it again, hit extrude and bring it out again, and you can get the exact thing you want. So when it comes to modeling characters, modeling fingers and things like that, we can make adjustments in that way. So I'm just going to hit undo a couple of times and go back, and I'm just going to do it one more time and extrude it for our image. So I'm going to hit extrude, pull it out, and then with that selected, I'm just going to move to this view and make sure I've got it where I want. I could also be scaling this as well, so pulling this down a little bit. And moving it so it kind of matches our image a little bit more. Okay, cool. So next thing I'm going to do is go back to vertex mode and select these vertices and just kind of start to move this where I want. So you can see that we've extruded it, but we haven't actually got this curvature yet. We can use another tool to achieve that, and what we're going to do is use the multi-cut tool. So the multi-cut tool is really handy for adding in our own subdivisions where we might want them. And to do that, you go to modeling toolkit again, multi-cut tool. And the way this works is that we can click on vertices and hit enter, and it will add in new subdivisions for us. We can click and drag on a line, and again it will add in more edges, more subdivisions. Or we can hold down Control, and this will work in a slightly different way, and it will add in a whole new edge loop for us. So let's say I wanted to add in another bit here for the detail, I can do that. Also worth knowing that if you hold down Shift when you use this tool, you can snap to the center, or if I hold down Control and Shift, I'm actually snapping to like a percentage. So if I just zoom in a bit more, Control Shift, you can see that this is actually snapping there. So it's a nice way to be neat with your work. So what I'm going to do is create a little bit more detail here, and hit click, just click the mouse button, and then back to my move tool, back to vertex mode. I can select those bottom ones and just pull this kind of roughly where I want it to be. Just a nice way to work really, and just add in more detail where needed. You can see that as I'm modelling this weapon, I'm trying to keep my edge loops relatively neat. Now obviously I'm working with an image that isn't perfect, it's not perfectly square, so I'm going to have a little bit of roughness to it, which I don't mind because I'm kind of going for that with this. But what I don't want is to end up with things like this, you know, things all over the place, faces kind of unusually shaped. I want to try and keep these edge loops kind of neat, just a nicer way of working. And what you might do, because I'm not really worried about poly count on this weapon, I might add in another multi-cut tool here. So multi-cut tool, hit Control, and then click it in there, and then back to vertex mode to move this and roughly get these kind of where you want it. So you add in more detail. And what you want to do is kind of go through and get your extra detail where needed. Just going to move it up to match that bit there. For example, you can see here for our curved bit of the weapon, if I use the multi-cut tool again and put in a couple and a bit more detail here, I can now go back to vertex mode, drag it over these and start to create a bit more of an edge, a bit more of a curved edge to that area of my weapon. And add one more multi-cut tool here. Oops. Vertex mode, bring it down. I'm going to do one more, I think. Oops. Okay guys, so you get the idea. We're kind of going around and adding more detail as needed. So again, I might add in another bit here and start to curve off my basic model.